Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first episode of Your Story podcast. If you don't know who I am Tynell Johnson. I am a life coach who is specializing in self-esteem and also relationships. This channel or podcast is going to be basically going over everything that has to do with self-esteem and also relationships to help give you the best advice to get you through that. To better ourselves, to love ourselves, as well as to help in different relationships that we're going to be encountering throughout our, time here on earth. So with that being said, let's get into today's actual topic, which is going to be how to get through a breakup. Now, this is something that is going to happen to almost all of us at some point in time in our life. Now, you might be one of those lucky individuals who found your sweetheart and never really had to experience a breakup. But for the most part, I think it's safe to say that all of us are going to experience this at one point in time. And I think it's one of the biggest things that happens to us at an early age that we literally have no idea how to navigate in a healthy way. Right? Like, we've been taught so many other things in life, whether that's, how to get, how to be better in school or, just different areas. But this one area, I feel like we don't talk about it. And it's very crucial, I think, to work on this and navigate it in a way that's going to be healthy for us to learn from it and to grow and not let it hinder us. Because I think a lot of us, we face this and we go through it in a way that's not healthy, and it ends up leading to bigger issues down the road, So this specific episode, we're going to be going over the best practices to help you get through it, and to be where you want to be at the end of it. So the first thing is that we're going to want to give yourself some time to express and feel the emotions that you're having. Now, I know this is kind of a weird thing to think of or a way to look at it, or you might be kind of opposed to it, but hear me out, right? The first thing that you're going to want to do when you have a breakup, especially with someone that you're in love with, is that you're going to feel like part of you has left you with that person, right? You both had spent so much time together and you've created each other's life, and you've, spent so much time and memories and just so much emotion gets tied into it that when that person leaves, it's like a part of you's leaving. And whether you know it or not, essentially, like, you both have been building each other up in one way or another, right? You may have done it subconsciously. You may have done it whether you knew it. But we all kind of play into who that person becomes, whether we realize it or not. And when that person leaves us, it's like, man, a part of me just left. You know what I mean? And it gets very, it's a tough emotional state that you're gonna go through for the most part. And that's okay. Don't shy away from that. I know a lot of people might say, I don't want to feel that. I don't want to embrace it. That's the last thing I want to do. But the healthy way to do that is you want to feel that and you want to express it in a safe way. You want to get that out, because if you end up balling that up and you end up suppressing it and not expressing it in a healthy way, it's going to lead to something more bigger down the road mentally that you might not even realize. There might be something that might come up. So you want to allow yourself the time to be able to express it, to feel it, and to go at your own pace, but you don't want to suppress it down because you don't want to feel that pain that you're going through. And it's legitimate. What you're going through is 100% legitimate. I've been there. So many people around you have been there, and we understand where you're coming from. But and we know that you don't want to feel that. Trust me, I was there, and it's a feeling that you don't want to feel, but it is necessary for you to be able to move on and for you to be able to grow from that experience from there. The next thing is going to be to have someone there to check in on you. Now, I know, again, this is one of those things where it's like, that's the last thing I want to do. I don't want someone seeing me in this emotional state. I don't want someone to, see me down this bad. I don't want someone having this responsibility. Like, that's the last thing I want to do, Ty. And I get it. I understand. But the thing is, when you're going through something like this, you're not going to be thinking rationally, right? You're going to be in a state where you are caught up in whatever emotion that you're feeling. And those emotions are valid. I want to first start off by saying that too, is that what you're feeling is valid. Don't let anybody tell you that, oh, you're a simp for, feeling lost or feeling that those feelings of sadness or depression or whatever it might be. Don't let anybody tell you that. Those are legitimate feelings of what you're having, depending upon the relationship you had with that person. So essentially, you want to have somebody there to make sure that you are going through what you're going through and whatever you're feeling and might feel to do to make you feel better, as long as it's safe, is okay, right? You want to have someone there to make sure that you're not doing stuff that you think is going to make you feel better and lead you into a better situation, but in actuality is not going to help you out at all. I think that is such a crucial thing to have, a person that you can trust that is not going to ridicule you, ridicule you. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But we don't want someone there to demean you and to look down on you and to tell you, oh, I told you that person wasn't the right one for you. I told you that what you think was going to happen with this person. You don't need to hear that right now. Whether or not that's true or not, that's a conversation for another day if you want to have that conversation. But right now, you need somebody there to just check in and make sure that you are okay, that you are going through what you're going through. You're expressing your emotions. You're feeling it. You're not suppressing it. You're allowing yourself to cry, to be angry, whatever it is, but in a safe way. And again, tying back into what I was saying in the beginning of this, you aren't necessarily going to be the best judge of that right now because you are caught up in what you're feeling. So by having someone there to watch over you and just to kind of check in every once in a while is going to help you tremendously throughout this process. The next step or thing that you want to kind of do when you're going through a breakup is to be patient with yourself and allow yourself the time and place to, again, feel what you're going through and to express yourself in that way. Essentially, you're going to be going through a lot, right? You're going to be going through so much at that time and place, and there's going to be some ups and there's also going to be some downs when you're going through that. And you got to give yourself the time to be able to work through all of that. And you can't allow yourself to get frustrated because, one day you feel like you're past it. I got it. I did it. I'm good. I feel great. I moved on. I feel like a champion. I got this. Because those days are going to happen. I was there before where, I would feel like I'm in a good spot and I'm good. I got it. And then the next day it's like a tsunami came in overnight and I'm like, wait, hold on. Why am I feeling, depressed? Why am I feeling sad again? Why am I ruminating over the relationship and the memories that we had? Like, I thought I was over this. And essentially what's going to happen is that you're going to be going through that. And that's normal. The thing is, what you don't want to do in those moments is that you don't want to beat up on yourself because it's not going to help you. It's not at all. You're going to go through those emotions. And if you continue to beat up on yourself, it's only going to make the situation worse. It's okay that you're feeling that way. It's okay that you're going to have days where you're going to be good and then you're not going to be. And again, tying into the first topic that we went over, you want to feel those emotions and you want to work through them and challenge them and get an understanding of why you're feeling that way. But the last thing you want to do, again, is to beat up on yourself because you're going through this. Because again, these emotions that you're feeling, they're valid. They are 100% valid. And I'm going to keep saying that throughout this episode because I want you to understand that. Like when I was going through it, I felt a sense of, of just like of kind of not regret but a way of just feeling like looking down and looking at myself like, man, Ty, why are you feeling that way? You should be better. Like, why are you feeling this way? Why are you feeling sad? And a lot of that came from people around me who essentially were, whether it was friends or whatnot, who were like, why would you let a girl ever get to you like that? Blah, 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 blah. Like, you need to move on. Like, this is crazy. Like, it's just a girl. There's, 7 billion people in the world, blah, 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 blah. And that is true. But essentially in that moment, you were in a relationship with somebody and you loved that person and you essentially shared a part of your life. And depending upon where you're at, you essentially were building a future with that person. And when that ends up being separated, whether it's mutually or that person just no longer wanted to be with you, which is okay, you know what I mean? That it's gonna happen, and your partner has a right to if they don't want to be in that relationship, to move on. But that's a whole nother story for another day. But you are gonna go through that, and for me, it was like, hearing that, I was being impatient with myself because I was like, man, I should be in a better place. I should be a man. If you're listening, I have quotations up. A man, and power through this and not even let this affect me. But to me, honestly, being a man is experiencing those emotions, being vulnerable, letting people know that you're not okay, and to express those emotions because, essentially you are a human being. You know what I mean? Like, being a man is not, oh, you're separate, you're not a human, like you don't experience these emotions. Like, no, it's the opposite. Just like women, we have emotions as well. And we need to express that, and we need to let that out in that regard. This is not just a gender specific podcast. I want to kind of put that out there as well. But I want to kind of talk to the males for this portion of it, because I feel like this is so such a negative thing that comes up when it comes to males, that you can't experience emotion. Women are allowed to experience emotion because how society has set it up, but males, like, we gotta experience these emotions and let it out, because it's not gonna do anything for us but create bigger issues. And you're not a simp if you're expressing your emotions or you're feeling some type of way when it comes to that. So I just want to put that out there for any of my guys listeners out there. Don't be afraid to express your emotions and be patient with yourself. If you're sad or you're upset about this, that is completely valid. That is something that is going to happen, and you're going to go through that in your life. So do not stop yourself from feeling that way when it comes to that. The next kind of the next step is going to be to reflect, right? Now, this is going to be a little bit of a conversation of where do we begin to reflect, right? A lot of people start to try to reflect on what happened in the relationship when they're going through the emotion of having that person move on, right? Like, you think, all right, what did I do wrong? You want to start analyzing the relationship. How could I have done it better? And that's not the time to do that. It's not the time to do that, because you're just essentially feeding that part of you who is not thinking rationally right now, and it's not going to be able to detach a logical way of looking at it and saying, okay, well, I did this, or she did that, or he did that, or whatever it might be, and this is probably why the relationship didn't work out, and I'm going to move on. That's a healthy way of kind of going through it. But when you are doing it in the beginning, or if you do it too early, it essentially is going to feed that part of you that is struggling. That part of you, that whatever emotion that you're feeling in that time frame, you're going to kind of succumb to that whether you realize it or not, because you're going to kind of focus on things that are maybe did go wrong, but you're going to be more prone to look at it in a way that is going to match whatever you're feeling. And you're going to feel more sad, you're going to feel more depressed, you're going to feel more angry or anxious, whatever it might be. And when you do that, it's not going to help you in that progress of healing, because it's going to kind of keep you kind of stuck in that area that you're in right now, and essentially once you've gone through the first 3 steps that we've gone over, then I think it's time for where you can kind of reflect and look on the relationship. And I think it's important because as you reflect, you begin to start your healing process, because you're looking at the relationship in a healthy way, and you're learning certain areas that you might have went wrong or the other person might have went wrong, and you kind of come to terms with that, right? Not all breakups you're gonna get closure. I kind of want to put that out there. And I think this tool, by reflecting, you're giving yourself your own closure. Because at the end of the day, like, you can't control if somebody's gonna give you closure or not. If they do, that's awesome. That's great. It's gonna help with this process. Definitely a lot easier than if they didn't. But again, you can't rely on somebody to do that, and it's not necessarily their responsibility to give you that closure as well. It's definitely a nice thing to do, and I think it's something that we all should strive for if we can in a relationship, if we're gonna break up with somebody. But like I said, you can't control that. All we can do is control ourselves, and for us to be able to be able to move on into an area that's gonna be that we're where we want to be out of the situation. We don't want to be stuck in this feeling anymore. We want to move as quickly and healthily in a way that we can. And essentially, by reflecting, you're giving yourself the closure to piece together exactly what happened, what went wrong, what you could have done better, and you're getting that closure to move on. And on top of that, you're gonna also be able to look and see where you went wrong, which is gonna move us to our next step, and begin to work on yourself and to fix those areas that you personally feel that you need to work on in the relationship. It's essentially, when you're going through something like that, there is going to be, especially whatever time of relationship that you're in. I mean, honestly, no matter how far in of a relationship that you have, or how much of a pro you think you are in a relationship, or how much experience you have, there's always going to be room for growth. There's always going to be a lesson that's learned in life in general, but especially in a relationship, there's different things that get presented to you, and it challenges you to grow and to learn from it. And essentially, this is that time to go ahead and learn from that. And then you're going to work on yourself and work on what you want in your life. Do the things that make you happy. We want to express and allow ourselves time to be able to express ourselves and have those feelings. But then we want to move to a point where we are starting to make progress into getting ourselves into a better state. And part of doing that is then moving on and doing things and getting ourselves acclimated back into our own lives and who we want to be. And I know from experience with myself, I had a longer relationship early on, and I didn't have time for myself to grow. And I think that was one of the downfalls of the relationship as well, is that I didn't grow as a man. I thought I was growing, but in actuality, I didn't grow. Now I'm able to grow because, I was able to have time to sit down and work on myself and surround myself with people who were going to push me in the direction of where I wanted to be. And that essentially is what allowed me to be the person that I am now. And there's still things that I need to work on. My girlfriend could definitely tell you that. Like, there's things that I need to work on personally, but that's okay. And I look forward to that now, because I look at it as an opportunity for me to learn myself and to learn who I want to be, and to challenge myself to be that person each and every day. And it's tough because no one wants to hear that there's things about you that aren't desirable, or things that need to be worked on. You think that for the most part that you're good, like you've been this way this whole time, why change? And I want to be the first one to say that there's some things in your life don't change. Be who you are at the end of the day. But have a deep soul search and realize, is this who I want to be? At the end of the day, am I genuinely happy with this version of me? And if you are, the more power to you. Be that person each and every day. But if you don't like that person, or if you want to work on some things, do that. This is your time to do that. This is your time to work on yourself. I wouldn't necessarily suggest trying to hop back into another relationship as fast as you can, or, focusing on trying to get somebody else. Like, this is your time to work on the person that you want to be and start to create your life that you want. And all those things are going to come into alignment for you. This is not the end. That's one thing I want to kind of tell you, that you are going to be able to get through this. There's not going to be, no matter what podcast or, article that you read, whether or not when you're going through this, because I remember myself, when I was in the thick of it, I was looking up, different, whether it was articles or videos saying, how long is this going to last? How long do you get through a breakup? And a lot of them were basically, oh, it might take you 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, blah, 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 so on and so forth. And the truth of it is that there is no timetable. Honestly, there's no timetable. It is up to you and how you're feeling. And when you are ready and when you feel like you've moved on, that's your timetable, and essentially you want to just, you want to work through that and understanding that. And this is your time to essentially look at it from that angle and say, all right, I don't know exactly when I'm going to be able to get through this, but I want you to know that you're going to get through it at some point in time. Like, you're going to be able to feel again and love somebody else, or it might be that same person. Who knows? Life is funny that way, where you might not right now be with that person, and later on you guys have grown and matured and moved on, and you're together again. But I want you to hold on to the hope, because it's the truth, that you are going to get through this at some point in time. And I'm telling you this because I've been there and I know what you're going through right now. Trust me, I know. But you're going to come a time in your life that you're going to look back on this and you're going to appreciate it, because it's not all bad, right? Like there was moments with you and your ex that you had, that you cherish those moments. We all do. We all have those, and those moments that we might not have necessarily cherished or liked, those are lessons for us to grow and learn. And when we move on to our next relationship, it's like, whoa, like, I'm a better person. I now know how to react to this. I now know how to, be more communicative, have more communication, sorry about that, with the other person, and express how I'm feeling in that time and frame, rather than suppress my emotions and not wanting to start something, so there's a lot to learn with this. And throughout this podcast, we're going to have more topics like this that we're going to be going over to help you through this. This is the first entry, the first episode, which is crazy. It's exciting. I know this is pretty long of one, but I think it's important to kind of get that out there all in one video for you to watch and for you to understand and listen from here. So I want to say a huge thank you for listening. Again, like I said, this is our first episode. We're going to have so many different episodes. Each week I'm looking to post an episode on different, like I said, topics that deal with self-esteem, relationships, and honestly, anything in between. Those are going to be the main things that we're going to focus on. But, as if you are a listener, or if you watch my TikToks, or if you're from YouTube, I cover different topics in the self-development area. And I want to, help you. So if you have any questions, or if you have any topics that you'd like me to go over more in depth, please go over to my TikTok. My TikTok is TynellJohnson7, and answer and ask away there. You can DM me there. You can message me on a video. I read literally every single message or every single comment that I have on my videos. And I would love to make a video on it. So again, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to watch this or listen to this on the podcast. I know it's not exactly perfect, but that's okay. That's what it's all about. Not everything is going to be perfect. As long as we have our message and we get that across, that's all that matters. And as we go, we're going to get 1% better, and this is it. So I will see you next week on our next episode. And again, I want to say a huge thank you for listening. And yeah, we're going to do this. I will see you guys in the next episode.